It's 6th of May. I've been in lockdown for about 6 weeks, and I'm very lucky because my studio is attached to the house, and I've also got a garden which I can access from this door here. I was going to show you, but there's a major DIY project going on, so it's probably best not to. I often work in the garden, but obviously for reasons of convenience, I'm working in the garden more at the moment than I might normally. Continuing to sketch. For example, this is one I did the other day. Some of the pots outside, and if I can find the other one, yep, a small ceramic standing stone that I've got in the garden. From here I can see the birds feeding on the feeders, and I often sketch them. This is one of the goldfinches, a regular visitor to the garden. And a couple of years ago, maybe a bit more, I made some lino prints onto these little luggage tags and had them hanging up in a kind of installation in an exhibition that I had. This is a sketch of the garden from last year, obviously later on with the kind of flowers involved. But I've got books and books of sketches of the garden and elsewhere, as you can see if you look up on the shelves. It's something I like doing. Partly it's because it's an absorbing activity, a calming activity, but also you really remember what the day felt like, it looked like, what it smelled like, the colour in the garden. It sort of holds it in your memory in a way that just looking or photographing it wouldn't do. This is an etching I did a couple of years ago, directly onto a plate, a lift etching of an iris that was out. My irises are just coming out at the moment, so I'm looking forward to that. This is one I did around this time last year. I came down into the kitchen about 3 o'clock in the morning. I looked out of the window and saw the moon above our magnolia tree, and that led to me doing this the very next morning, and it's one of my favourites actually of this time of year. Moving on to a larger piece I did a couple of years ago, well, more than a couple of years ago. It's this one. You can see irises are out, alliums are out, foxgloves, and this is the garden path, somewhat simplified, but anyway, that's the one I did at the time. It's a woodcut, and it shows really a redesigned garden. I used to have a straight path right the way down the garden, and it really wasn't lending itself to drawing and painting, so I redesigned it and created this curved path. Really worth it. Now over here is what I painted directly with oil paint in the garden. It was about a week ago, and I've changed the proportions somewhat of this. It looks much more, much bigger than it would do normally, but I just love that with that red acer tree. It's a very strong red at the moment. It gets a little darker as the season goes on, and this was an oil pastel sketch that I did around the same time. The sun and the bright colours have really influenced the palette I'm working with. This is something else I'm working on. We had some rain and I wasn't in the garden, and I worked from an old photo that I found, a family photo of myself and my sister at a Christmas lunch many years ago now. In fact, so long ago my sister didn't recognise herself. But you can see I've made the plate, the etching plate, and it's ready to ink, print through my etching press, which is this over here. Gunning etching press that served me well for many, many years.